Heyo and welcome to the Planet Plipcam channel for another park showcase. Now today we are showcasing Angry Emerald's realistic park on the Xbox Frontier Workshop. Now this name of this park is just called Ultra Realistic Park, so there's no real name to it, but we are going to jump straight into this park. And there's so many things to explore today, including an awesome Bavarian or Tudor themed kind of coaster area, and a very inventive hotel, and there's also such a cool custom supported wooden coaster, and this actually has an inversion. So there's many coasters to ride, and I can't wait to take you around this park. And there's so many paths to explore, there's loads of nuts and crannies to go and have a look at, loads of Easter eggs everywhere. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any other videos just like this, as that would be really appreciated. And you can just see, skimming over the top of here, there's so many things to explore in this park, and I like how much of the park is actually done custom with loads of beams. And last time I reviewed one of Angry Emerald's parks, I definitely noted that make sure you trim your buildings and don't just have it like Minecraft with just big 4-meter building pieces blocks, and that's really been taken into account, so I'm really happy to see this. And you can just see from the start this really well done car park. I would say that it does need a bit of it does need tidying up a little bit, as some of the spaces aren't equal lengths away. To do that, I would use the advanced move tool, where you can have the clipping to 4 meters, 2 meters, 1 meter. You can even have half a meter and a quarter of a meter. So that's how I did my car park. And also you'll see that when we go down here, these are off the ground, so that definitely needs addressing. It's interesting that the curbs have been used for these as well. I would recommend doing these with the basic shapes, sinking them into the ground, and then you can get longer ones which don't take as much piece count. As you'll see, I do highlight this in a little bit, and you'll see it's like nearly 4,000 pieces, getting rid of all of this. So certainly when you're on last gen, which this park is, it definitely needs addressing, this kind of stuff. So it's nice to put a car park in, however I would recommend going for basic shapes, because look at that, 68% to about 63% build limit, so you could have done so much more if you just used a couple more basic shapes. So that's a really cool thing. And then you head in here, there could be a bit more tidier path that joins that car park there. I do like how you haven't used the paving just for the car park, because that will really kill your percentage. Pathing's really bad for the Oswald counter. You got a welcome back sign welcoming this monorail thing into the station. And yes, the station is a bit low, that does need addressing, but it's not the end of the world. Just make sure you look all around your park and look for safety features too. For example, on that station, there's no fences that don't stop you falling off into the shrubbery off the end of that station there. So lots of things to consider, but yeah, I do like the realism that you've tried to put into this park so far. So you can see here we've got a bag check kind of area. I do like how you can walk past here. You've got the security guards from the studios packs. And then you've got a bin bag there which has been checked out for any prohibited items in the park, and you got the same on the other side. A nice use of the tables. If I were you, I would make custom tables there so they're not too wooden. I think they'd be metal, stainless steel kind of tables. And then look at this hotel. This was what I was talking about a bit earlier. You've got couples standing out on the decking. I'm sure this is inspired by Thorpe Park. I think they have some kind of shark kind of hotels. I'll search it on my phone right now. Thorpe Park shark cabins, there we go. So I saw a review on YouTube of some cabins in Thorpe Park, and they look really cool, with using these kind of containers, shipping containers, added all the balconies. Now they seem quite a budget kind of hotel in Thorpe Park, but I really like that because it's a small amount of room. It's just so you can stay over the night and get the best out of your park stay. And we've got welcome mates from the entrance sign. But yeah, I like that, really like that hotel. And it's nice to see you getting inspired by different parks from around the world. So we've got the entranceway, a nice shelter on that entranceway. We've got a building in the centre, nice signage around everywhere. Fencing's used nicely to block in all of the plants. I like how some of the plants are overspilling through those gates. And then you've got a nice ride to start with that you can see right in front of you, a lot of flats to start with, and you've got a gift shop on the left which isn't themed inside, and it does have people clipping through the walls, which is okay. It's always nice to get people interacting with buildings. And then look at this queue line for this flat ride. I would say this is inspired by Nerd Chacho. Please let me know in the comments down below. Angry Emerald, if this is, because I love the coaster queue flat ride queue layout here. I love how it intertwines with each other. But one thing to say would be that this fence type is very tall, and I would sink it down a bit because they are literally blocked in. It's like they're in Disneyland in the Alice in Wonderland maze. They can't see a thing, which some people might not enjoy, especially with that longer queue. And then you can see around here, this is the queue line for the transport all the way around the park. Obviously sightseeing and getting around the park in general, which is always cool to see. I never have really implemented these into my parks, but it's nice to see that. You'll get some brilliant views from what is quite a compact park, and you fit so many rides into this park. So Wave Runner, interesting use of font there, and also these beams going across the exit pathway is a bit annoying, I would say, and that does need just moving a little bit more to the right, and then you won't have people clipping through there. But the station, as I say, I would just say that around these stations you need a fence in here, just so people can't just step off. Like, you don't want that happening, as that would be very unsafe. So this is going to be our first coaster of the day. We're just going to try and click onto it and ride it. So it's Wave Runner, and we're going to go into first person view. We'll have a look at the stats, and you can see that the stats are doing pretty well. They're nearly into 6 excitement. The fear is not too bad, 3.89. You don't want that getting up really into too high. You just want it just right, and then the nausea's good enough. I would say that the vertical G-force is way too high, and I will touch on that later. I do zoom into it on this recording. So we're going to head up the lift hill, and once this lets us go up, we'll let the guests load in. I do hate how long it takes the guests to load in this game when they have to get on the station. But nice how you got the catwalk on, that's always good to see. And we're going to head around here. It'll be interesting to see how many pieces have been used to make this. I'm looking at trying to look for nuts and bolts on the side, just to see how many times they occur, to see if it is 4 meters. You head around this awesome little lake area with all loads of smoke effects, and I would say, looking at this coaster straight away, the banking does need addressing. It's at some points it's banking too much, and then sometimes too little. I think you just need to have a look at that, and also you've got to understand that this is moving at a very fast speed after what was quite a high lift hill, so slow it down all a bit more. I think that could really help, because you can see how high the lift hill goes, and then it drops down and you're into loads of inversions all of a sudden, and they could really be needing to be expanded, as I think it's going too fast. And I say that's a theme throughout the whole of the park really. I think all of your coasters do need slowing down a bit, so increase the height of the inversions, the hills, the air times, and that will really reduce the G-forces. But other than that, I really like the theming around here. It's lit at night also, you can see the lights in the ground, in the water there. That looks really cool. This park is kind of sparsely lighted, which is a bit annoying. I personally always forget to light some things, but definitely keep an eye on that when you're building a park. You've got a really interesting palette of foliage, I'd say, around this park, and you can see just above there, maybe a bit high to the guests. You need a point to stop mobile phones falling off the coaster. But yeah, the foliage, as I was just saying, it's quite an interesting bunch of foliage. I would say that it's quite a mix, and I wouldn't say that they all go together. You've got quite tropical with kind of deciduous and everything, so I would just have a look at that. You've got loads of bushes, and then you've got tropical bushes. It doesn't look like they'd all grow in the same place. You've got alpine trees and everything. Obviously it is a theme park, and they do get different kinds of foliage in for different areas. Like you'll see later, the log flume has been used, loads of tropical stuff. But just definitely look at that when they're all blending together, and definitely space for the trees. Are they too close? Would they have breathing room? Could they stretch their branches out and get enough sunlight? It's all things to think about when you're building a park. So Sky Scream is the next ride that we're going to have a look at. It's interesting how you've used the Don't Die fencing here. I love this piece, as you will know if you watch the channel. You might bang your head on here and have some people trying to do pull-ups or something on these bars, but it's interesting how you've implemented that. Because it's cool that you've got obviously these people who are swinging over you. If they drop a phone, maybe if they're on the front row and then they drop a phone and it hits you on the head, it's always a bad thing, but just raise that up a bit more. and that'd be awesome to see. We are going to try and take a quick ride on here, but just look at the scenery around here. You can see in the background the water rides. What brilliant use of rocks. It's quite an interesting mix of rocks again, not all from kind of the same area, but it is a theme park, and sometimes rocks like those won't even be real, so could be made of plastic or whatever they make them out of. So we'll just have a look in cinematic view, and then we'll go into first person here. Just look at the views. You can see that queue line. You wouldn't want to be dropping anything over there, or even like spitting on them. That'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it? That'd be horrible. But you can see what a ride, going over the coaster. It'd be really fun to be on this ride, I think. But yeah, you can see great views of the park, and that's a really cool ride. So we're going to head around now onto the water ride, I'm pretty sure. We'll take away the HUD and we'll head around to the water ride. So you can see the queue line here, 85 minutes if I can see that properly. I do love the custom fencing in here, that's really nicely done. But I would just say that you do need some don't die fencing again to block it out, as they could easily hop over and jump around to, as you can see here, the water trough. So just amend that just there. And then you've got this queue line area again. When you're jumping on, I am happy enough with the fences on here, but again, just add some more fences on the sides of these stations. And then we do encounter a problem, which is another moan of mine for the game, not the park, which is it's so annoying how the kid view, when you've got a child in the seat, you can't see a thing. So we are going to have to end up going for at the back of the boat. So it is a bit annoying, and we'll take a look here at the vertical G-forces. 3.96, it's all okay for this ride. It's kind of expected that you will get some kind of G-forces, but you can see now struggling to get into this point of view where you can actually see, as you can't see a thing. And pretty much every ride, when you have a kid riding, you can't see a thing, so that's really annoying. It is cool that we do have kids in the game, obviously, but for this reason it is very annoying. As you can see, we're at the top now. Nice views are all around the park. You can just see the coasters popping out from over the tree lines, and then a big splashdown section, really nicely sectioned off, really, with all of those rocks. I'm quite happy to see that. And then here is your foliage, where you can really see that it's been like decked out with all of the tropical foliage, and you can see kind of more trees that would be more populated in the UK or whatever this park I'd expect would be in. So yeah, I like that kind of foliage palette that you have gone for there, and the park have done a good job there. So you've got more custom building here. One thing I love, as I said at the start of this review, it's so good to see now custom things been doing in the game. Like someone could easily slap on some fences there, but it's done custom because it will fit perfectly to what you need in the game. So that's really well done. A backstage area and a nice use of the Western or maybe Studios falling water tower. We'll take the HUD off again and we go to Flume's Food. So this is another outlet of food, and you can see the roof is nicely done, trimmed again perfectly with all the beams. It's really important to do that. And you can really see, like, the two creators I look up for Planet Coaster at the moment are of course Moon and Little Socks and their Chacho. So you can definitely see they trim their buildings perfectly and really realistic with all of the wooden beams. It's so cool to see. One thing I could say about this park is that your pathing is very expansive and it's very large all the way around the park. So if you did want to reduce piece count, you could just use the plaza pieces that you get, so the flat roof pieces, and they take much less percentage than any paths will do, as obviously they're programmed to have all the guests running on them, and they've got another thing for the Xbox or PlayStation to think about. So definitely think about that. You've got another water tower here. It's interesting how these themes are combining around the park. It's kind of a tropical vibe all the way around, but then when we get into the kind of Bavarian style, it does get a bit different from that. So it's quite an interesting theme throughout the park. It's not exactly all cohesive, especially with the foliage, as I keep on saying. But this says ride and bumper view, and you can see, look at those stats, they're pretty much spot on. Apart from these G-forces, obviously the excitement, fear and nausea ratings are quite good, but then these vertical G-forces are again quite high. You want to be aiming for like no more than really 4.5, even that might be too high. But certainly for our coaster contest held on our Discord, you still have about a week and a half maybe to get into this contest. which is being run on our Discord, building a B&M invert, and we're saying no more than 6 Gs of vertical G-force. So it's always something to consider. Sometimes with rides you just can't get some elements without the G-forces, but yeah, it's something to have a look at. Just looking at this, you launch over a bit of airtime, which is interesting. Over and around here, it just reminds me, any coaster at the moment that's launched over water just reminds me of the Velocicoaster at Universal Land Orlando, I'm pretty sure. But you head around here, a nice helix up and around. I like the banking around there and into the block section. And slow enough into this station, it might need slowing down a little bit more. But that was the launch vector coaster, and that was a really good one. We are going to have a look at the heat maps now. Vertical G-force, and you can see this is just the vertical G-force. The lateral is quite high at some places too, but you can see after the drop here, that does need lengthening out. Just extend it around, there's no harm in doing it, and then smooth it a bit more. You can still use your 4 meter pieces, it's just so difficult to get it smooth when you kind of got such big drops just going down and up straight away. Again, using the reeds again. I think I introduced Angry Emeralds when we did our collaboration for the Easter Park, but that's nicely done around there. And then you've got a restaurant on your right, nicely done with the roof, just giving it some kind of trim on the top. That's those flat roof kind of pieces. I use those for flooring lots of coaster stations. And then you can see we've got a Woody, a Monster, 45-minute queue for this one. I like how you've been giving all of the queue line kind of times as you go through the queue. I would say your queue lines are nicely done, nicely given some foliage, and just using the in-game fences and sometimes using custom fences. But again, look at the station, that's nicely done too. There are some clipping into that wood on the floor there. Prepare yourself for one a wild journey by the looks of it. I can't actually ride that, but here we go. G-forces are okay, safe trip it says, and we head through those embers. Now, this is probably one of my favourite kind of coasters in the world. You know, woodies that have so much airtime. I think I prefer them to inversion coasters and everything like that. But we are going to go to the back of the train, and so I do like that on these kind of coasters. You get some nice whip over the air times. It's nice how you got these big drops. Sometimes you do need that, like huge drops, like kind of the Grand National. But yeah, I like that. We're in a kid's seat again, I think. So sadly, we've got the headrest in front to have a look at. We can see nicely banking around there. I would just turn that off a little bit more. The banking, it goes from really banked to not banked at all. So just around that corner, and then we head into the brakes and head around a little bend around the corner. And there might be some high G-forces just around there. It does need slowing down a little bit more. But that was the Monster, the wooden coaster. And that was a really cool one. You can see at night the lift hill is lit up. However, the rest of the ride is not, which is again a shame. Piece count has obviously got in the way at some point. 63% with the car park removed, and obviously 68. I'm pretty sure that you are in the last gen. But let me know in the comments if you're not, as I'm pretty sure that is the last gen number. But you can see we're going to head into this Bavarian kind of old age Tudor kind of building area, and it's interesting to see there's no real sign at the front of the park, at front of the area, to tell you what it actually is, but it's nicely themed. And this is definitely well, it might not be, but I'd definitely say this is inspired by Nerd Chacho. He did one in his park. I'm not sure which one it was. It's not his most recent park. It's the other one that is not Chacho Landia. It's the earlier one, and he did something very similar to this, and with the same kind of coaster. But you got an enchanted walk around there. I just wanted to explore that. Nicely done with all the building pieces. I'm not too sure if you actually have the Studios pack. So to do this with wooden beams and I think stucco wall pieces, that's done so well. So I don't think you have access to the Studios park, as I do talk to Angry Emeralds on party chat quite often. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have access to the Studios pack. But yeah, it's really cool and well done around here. You've skinned it all on the floor. It's really nicely done. And the exit path goes through there. and you can see the queue line goes just around there with the door, people clipping through it, which can be a bit annoying sometimes. I would just leave the doors open, put some of the open doors and have them going through there, as when they're queuing it does look a bit odd. But there's just the queue line again with the custom fences, probably been taken over from some of the other rides in the park. Entrance, just a couple, just watch your spelling everywhere, invert. We've got, I think the ride is called Tiefel. We've got the entrance, and here we go. So we're going to go around through this queue line. It's nice kind of, queue line. It's always using the kind of different fences. So I like how that white fence has been used for this, as it does blend into the kind of white and then the black kind of theme. So we've got the station here again, just add some fences around the side. We are in the wrong train at the moment, but we're just going to hop down into the station. We'll have a look at the stats first. 6.22 G-forces vertical, and the minimum forward G-force is 1, and forward G-force around 4, -4. So the G-forces are definitely something to look at in this park. I think the speed of the coasters is definitely something. The pacing, if you have your coasters flying around and then alternating their speeds and going really fast, they've obviously got to pick up some speed at some point, or they won't make it around. Just try and even out the speed and slow it all down, I'd say. So we're going to have a look in the follow view on the interest view. So we'll head up this lift hill. This is a really cool kind of ride. I would say that some of the inversions are a bit tight on this one, but you've got the kind of saw kind of overhead there that you have on the lift hill of Saw. You head up and into a very harsh block section. Something to look at there, like you get some loads of G-forces as you sit and get hit by that. You'll be feeling like you've been hit by something. But you head around here through buildings, always nice to see when you head around buildings, and then that's the end of the coaster. So my question to you would be, do you actually need all these block sections? It's such a short ride that I don't think you need these block sections at all. You can get around this coaster pretty easily, and it wouldn't take too long, and you could easily still have like 2 or 3 coaster cars on this coaster, and it wouldn't make too much of a difference, and it will definitely affect the stats. Having to wait for that long, the excitement ratings will go down. But all in all, I do love this coaster. Certainly some of it could be smoothed. I'm just having to check now if it is 4 meters, and it in fact is. Sometimes when you have the banking offset to a higher value, the track pieces extend as you go up, and it's all a bit weird, and I never understand it. But yeah, it just does need using some of the smoothing technique. I like using the 4 meter quite a lot. Sometimes 3 meters nice if you want the middle piece of the track to go out, and then for some kind of inversions go for 2 meters. But just showing you there, just take a piece, move on, take 4, and just smooth it out a little bit more. I think that's really what it needs. And then do that a couple of times. Usually it's 8 times, unless you need to start pulling your banking around. Just hold X and use the LTRT or the equivalent on PlayStation, so you don't lose any of your banking. But apart from that, yeah, it should work, and it shouldn't pull the yaw out too much. So really nice coaster there. And then we're going to have a look at just the overview of this corner of the park. We've got one more coaster to go, a random kind of section for snakes around here, which is odd, although it is connected to the Anaconda ride, which is around here. You've got musical note signs, and then you've got your obviously exit way, and nicely pathed all the way around. And you're just gonna have a look at this. Look, you can see just at the bottom of your screen here, you have got an inversion. So I think it's an RMC. My coaster knowledge again is not the best, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And we've got 6.18 of excitement. Nausea is a bit high at some points. It's probably because it doesn't like you doing an inversion after such a tall inversion into some banking maybe. But we are going to have a look at this. I think it does have quite a cool inversion here with the custom supports. And you head around here, nice whippy banking there, and that's something that you'll definitely be able to see later on as we just zoom out from here. You can see just how kind of cool it is going through that banking. I'd just say slow it down a little bit more. You can see as we'll speed it up and let it go around, but you can see you just need to slow it all down a little bit more. We'll see it heading up the lift hill, but it's nicely custom supported. I would add some of the pieces, the connecting pieces to the track, which do need adding. You can see as it'll head over here, around there. That looks so much fun, and then around here into a really tight banking. But yeah, you need to just really smooth it out between the bank and then the non-bank. You need to just smooth it out a little bit more. You've got some more backstage, and then that does actually bring us to the end of this park review. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this video. I would say that the lighting is a bit annoyingly lacking in some places. The car park's nicely done, definitely realistic in lots of places. Watch your foliage, and definitely your park count could be brought down by the car park being reduced and some of the pathing. But I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate you liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more Planet Coaster console content. Thank you to Angry Emeralds for letting me know this park was on the workshop. Go rate it, subscribe to it, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.